Hello guys, I'm Savvy and welcome back to another tutorial video involving our mission to go to Minmus. That's right, we are going to be building a rocket to go to Minmus today. In the last one, it's been a little bit since I've done one of these, and the last one we went to the Mun, and that was more of a real-time kind of commentary, while this time I've sped it up a little bit for this section. This section goes on for about 9 or so minutes, so I sped it up about twice, about 2 times speed, because not really much went on here with the vessel here. I am using majority parts that are vanilla, so like, your Terrier engine, using that Communotron, using those solar panels there, putting the parachutes on, putting the shell over it. And then I decided to use the tri-coupler for this, and one of the others, vanilla pieces, but instead of putting that as the first stage, because I was like, you know what, we need a second stage, or a middle stage, I should say, for this rocket, because it is very important that I do something like this, just to make sure that I have enough delta V to get to Minmus, because even though Minmus does have very low gravity, which I'll explain more as we get to that part, it's you want to make sure that you can get there and probably put yourself into orbit with a different stage, just in case. But you can see that I'm also putting SRBs, or solid rocket fuel boosters, on the side. And I'm using these kind of small ones, but they have a lot of thrust. And what I found out was they actually have too much thrust. And I forgot to also do the auto strut as well. But as you can see on the bottom right there, you can see that we have about, we have over 3,000 delta V, which you need over 2,000 to get into orbit around Kerbin, but eventually we have just enough, close to around 4,000 delta V in order for us to get to Minmus, which that actually is more than enough. So, but the rocket has been made, and we're going to be taking this to orbit, or taking this above Kerbin. So I sped up time a little bit there because I needed to turn it to daytime. And you could see that I totally forgot, and you could see, well, you could see Steam notification on the bottom right, but you could also see that I forgot to have Jebediah or Valentina as the pilots. You could see Bill and Bob on the bottom right there, but, it's fine. But as you can see, as the rocket is lifting off, it was really fast of a takeoff, super duper fast. But things ended up working out pretty well, I'd say, um, for the most part. This actually was a pretty smooth flight, so as we're going up into the atmosphere, I usually what I want to do is I want to turn or go at an angle once I reach 100 meters per second. That's usually my standard as I go to space and I want to go into orbit, because you want to have a good momentum of horizontal speed while also having that vertical speed as well. But since we had a lot of vertical speed, it was much better to kind of turn more sharply as we got higher and we get more of that horizontal speed going on there, because we need to lift up our apoapsis up high enough where it's above the atmosphere, which typically I go around a comfortable 100,000 meters above, or 100 kilometers above the atmosphere, or above Kerbin, just because it brings us out a little bit, and I feel like it's a little bit easier to get us around orbit around that height instead of being much lower, like a little bit above 70,000. So then I speed up time because I coast a little bit, and then I go back to prograde, and what I do is I just burn and I use up all the fuel, even though it reaches our apoapsis above like 200,000 meters. That's totally fine with me because it actually worked out in the long run anyway. Now, this is the part that is a little bit, it took some time. It took some time to burn, but as you can see, I'm making my maneuver nodes here, and I go back and forth between Minmus and my craft and everything so I could see exactly how we're going to be reaching Minmus. And so I'm pretty much right at the maneuver node anyway. I think we passed it a little bit. So I just go ahead and start burning. Now this burning part takes a little bit of time. So even though it's 2 times speed, it still does take some time to get there, to get to that point. But you just want to keep burning in that direction. And since I'm actually playing this in creative mode, so I have all these nodes here. But if you're playing career mode, I don't know if it's in science mode either. I actually haven't played science mode. I've only played career and creative. But you can have that node at the top right there from all the other ones. You have your anti-normal, normal, prograde, retrograde, radial, I think it's non-radial or anti-radial, something like that. But and then you have target, and then non-target, and then you have the actual maneuver thing that you can click on, which is what I had it set to. And we have, and as I was burning, I guess it was being weird, so I had to adjust a little bit because we were going over Minmus, literally, going over the North Pole of it. So I made a maneuver in between that line and I decided to adjust it by doing anti-normal, which is the triangle with the lines going out from it, the pink triangle or purple. I'd say it's pink, more pinkish. Um, but as I make that adjustment, everything is perfectly fine now. And I always want to go really close because that's where the most of the influence of the gravity comes in. And usually I go in from the right side of it. And it'll probably fling us out, which technically I probably should have gone to the other side because it would have slowed us down more. But it's fine. Minmus has very low gravity in the end, so it's not going to affect us that much. And we're going kind of slow anyway, despite that. So I used up all of that fuel in that middle stage there, and I'm using the final stage to get into orbit and to land. But as I said before, Minmus has very low gravity. Very, very low gravity. So it's very easy to just use this final stage here to land and to take off. And there's one thing that I forgot to put on there that I forgot to mention at the beginning. I forgot to put on landing gear. I totally forgot to put on landing gear with this, but it's totally fine. It's okay. It worked out in the long run. It worked out in the long run anyway. But yeah, as we make our descent here, the problem is that you can't speed up time when you're this close to the surface. So I just have to kind of coast along here, but I burn very little here and there. Very, very little just to bring down my speed. But I don't want to do it all the time, or at least very harshly, because I want to give myself some space when I land, and I definitely want to land more in the, like, I'm going to be well within the flatlands of Minmus. So that's definitely what I want to do for that. And we're going to be landing on the engine. So there is going to be some live commentary as well that'll be coming up in just a second because you're going to get a live bit of commentary both with the landing and taking off and getting back to Kerbin. So I'm gonna give it over to the other Savvy. So I'll see you guys right then. All right, so here we are. We are landing or about to land onto the surface of Minmus. And the one thing I forgot to do was put landing gear on this. So the way that we're gonna do this is we're just gonna land on the engine, which for a celestial body like this, as I mentioned before, it is really easy to just land with your engine. Don't really need landing gear. The gravitational pull of this is very, very low compared to the Mun, so we're gonna have an easy time getting on and off the surface, just as long as we don't flip ourselves on the side. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to line myself up as best as I can as we're falling to the surface of Minmus, and that requires me to get us quite below 2 meters per second, and I do want to land relatively smoothly, so just like that. And look at that! We landed on Minmus. That is awesome. So definitely want a quick save just in case something goes wrong. So I'm going to EVA real quick, and I'm just going to be careful not to bump into it. And I did bring Bob and Bill by accident, but we were still able to control the vessel despite having no pilot whatsoever. So anyway, we're going to plant our flag here, and we're going to name this I Like Mint Ice Cream, because I know some of you guys that watch my other stuff or have been in my streams, we talked about mint ice cream before. I know some of you don't like mint ice cream, so I'm just letting you guys know I like mint ice cream. And I will say that it's not one of the best, but still delicious to me. And the only reason we're doing that is because of the theme that we have going on here for Minmus. Minmus is green, so therefore we must call it mint. We must call it mint. But I don't think Minmus is made out of actual mint ice cream. But yeah, look at that. Minmus looks really cool. A lot of flat areas here. And you could land on these non-flat surfaces here. I mean, there are some parts like at the top of mountains here. You can land on those. Those are easy to land on since they are flat. But it's kind of hard to land in other places, so I recommend in these flats here or on top of the mountains if possible. But I'm going to take a screenshot of this real quick because thumbnail. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've taken some screenshots. So now we're going to go back into the vessel here. I'm just going to climb right into this. I do have a lot of mods installed in this, so what I could try to do is on the description down below, I could try to put the all the mods in if possible. There's a lot there, so I'll just name them as I see them. So I'll put them in the order in which they are, I guess, alphabetized or the way that they prioritize each other. But we must end up going back to Kerbin. So what we're going to do is we're going to just lift off, and we're going to go 90 degrees, which is this direction. So I'm going to turn the camera and turn our vessel in the direction that we need to go. And these little solar panels have been helping out. And so is this Communitron, so that we can have sustained power to our vessel, as well as sustained communication with the KSC. So I'm just gonna start boosting more, just give us a little bit more speed, but I don't want to go too fast right away because I need to go up to a certain height, and it's really easy to get in orbit around Minmus. It's super duper easy. So we're gonna go around like that. That's pretty easy to do, and I can't really speed up time because I'm this low in the surface. This close to the surface. Alright, so I was finally able to get up to the top here, and I'm just gonna burn prograde, going all the way out until we reach the periapsis point where we are in orbit once again. And the way that I want to burn, the direction that I want to burn is going to be the opposite of where Minmus is orbiting. So Minmus is orbiting this way, so we want to go this direction. So I'm going to go here on this line, so you can see the pink line here. I'm going to go just about there, and I don't really need to use a maneuver node. I'm just going to eyeball it, so I'm going to go here. And we're going to burn prograde in order for us to lower our periapsis once we're in Kerbin's sphere of influence. So just like that, as you can see. And I'm just going to stop right there, because our Apo's going to just move around kind of awkwardly. So I'm just going to speed up time. And goodbye, Minmus. It was a pleasure seeing you for just a short amount of time. planting a flag on you and then leaving. It was a pleasure. Alright, so once we get out to here, I'm gonna burn retrograde because we need to bring down our periapsis by a lot. And it's gonna bring in our apoapsis closer to our vessel as we get lower and lower and closer to Kerbin. So I'm just gonna focus on Kerbin real quick because I need to make sure that we are below 70,000. And a good comfortable way to get down here and ensuring that we get into an orbit around, or, you know, pretty much ensuring that it just takes one go around at Kerbin to ensure that we actually fall back down all the way is probably below 40,000 meters or below 40 kilometers, whichever way you want to say it. If it doesn't work like that, it looks like we're going to be saying hello to the mun, but I think we'll be fine. So what I'm going to do is just decouple this last bit here, and that's just going to fall into the atmosphere at some point. And I need to make sure that we continue to stay retrograde, but that's going to change at some point. But you could see as we are approaching closer to Kerbin, Kerbin is becoming much, much larger. You can see the mun just going around and orbiting. Alright, and slow down time here. So down some more as we get closer and closer. And it looks like, well, I hope that we land on the bright side of Kerbin. Would be nice. It's just insane. Just, even for how long I've been playing this game, it's just so cool just to see the celestial body from a far distance, and then it comes up to you, and you just see how huge it is. Like, just how large or how small it is when you actually get up close to it. It's just amazing. It's so beautiful. I love it. Alright, so we are going to be falling fast, as you can see here. This is why I have the heat shield, because we are falling super duper fast. And this is going to bring down our orbit here quite fast. Very, very fast. And we're not even at the periapsis yet. So that's why I went as low as I did, because it's really going to bring in our apo. I'll just shorten it to apo. Now, we are getting really hot. Really hot, really fast. So we just need to be careful here. But the heat shield should... Whoa, camera. Camera's being goofy right now. But yeah, we are going to be able to get below the atmosphere on our apoapsis side. So that means it only took one attempt. Because I've had trips before where I had to skid across the atmosphere several times until I finally came down because I miscalculated how low you had to be. But for that, we were below 40,000 meters, so that was really good. So I'm just going to keep speeding up time. And we are landing on the day side, which is pretty awesome. And we are cooling down pretty awesomely. And this took some damage. The ablator took some damage. It's 147 out of 200. But it's still intact, so it still could have taken a lot of heat. Now, for planets like Jewel and maybe Eve, we'd probably need a bigger shield than this, because it'd probably burn up all of this. Probably even the vessel too, because it does kind of stick out. Well, probably not really stick out, but it's flush with this outer part, or the outer ring of the ablator. But it's safe to bring out our parachutes. So that's what we're going to do, to slow ourselves down a little bit more before they deploy. And I have 3 of these drogue chutes and the main chute, because this pod is a little bit heavier than the single manned pod, the one-man pod, however you want to call it. So we are going to... That's why I put those on here. So we're just going to keep falling. We're just going to keep falling. And, oh, I could speed up time a little bit. So the drogue chutes actually deploy first, and this gives me the opportunity to jettison that ablator, which will make us weigh a little bit less. And it's going to splash onto the ground or into the water, destroying it eventually. Maybe? Eventually? Are we that high up? Huh. I guess it didn't splash. I guess it survived. Interesting. But, yep, we're just gonna slowly get down. And we are above 5 meters per second landing on Kerbin with the parachutes, but that should be fine, because we are landing in the water, and it's a more cushiony type of landing in the water than it is in other places, so. But look at that. And the waves are making us bounce. But there we go. Look at that. We are now landed back on Kerbin from our short Minmus mission. So we can go ahead and recover our vessel. And we can call it a mission there. Pretty awesome, guys. Pretty awesome. So I hope you guys learned something from this. I had a lot of fun making this video. I decided to go with a more sped up version of it just because I think because building rockets can take some time and doing a full tutorial would probably take well, it'd probably only take like 30 something minutes, 40 minutes, but I think speeding up and making sure that it's more of a tutorial, which usually when you do tutorials, you want it to kind of be not too short, but not go on forever. So that way, you know, the only times that it will happen is in my Conan build videos. So I recommend checking those out too. But anyway, I'm babbling. If you guys did enjoy this, and if you did learn something, be sure to hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to hit subscribe as well, because that lets me know that you guys join the content on the channel and would like to see more. I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Bear Midley and Donkeys for Sale for being members of the channel, and you could become a member too by hitting the join button down below. I've been Savvy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys! See you later.